Music and psychedelics go together like salt and pepper. The way music can affect trips can be utterly profound. I'm sure every psychonaut has at least one story where music provided them mind-blowing results. In part 1 of this series, I shared with you some of my own experiences with music and psychedelics, and in this video, I'm going to be sharing a compilation of other people's experiences, some of them being my friends and acquaintances.
So we're at his parents' house. He had his place upstairs, the 3rd floor of the house. And I was downstairs, and I had taken a whole one of these little blotter things. And I was sitting at the piano. Literally, I was playing about this slow. I was probably going, and I'm just playing, you know? All of a sudden, it was so amazing because as I was playing, I started to do this thing where I cross over my hand, and every time I did, you know, the typical kind of acid trails you get, I had those, but forget that. They were all multicolored. There were these beautiful arcs and rainbows, and I got so high so quickly that I wasn't even in a space like going, oh my God, like I'm incredibly high. I was in it. I was completely in the bubble of this new world, and it started with these amazing rainbows that were happening, and then I realized that I was actually not here. I was sitting over there, and I was watching myself play. And it was the first time in my life that I had a perspective of outside of myself enough to know that, oh my God, like you play the piano really well. Yeah, I got this perspective, and I was like, oh wow, listen to that, like what, you know, check it out, you know, and it was incredible. And then as I was going through this, all of a sudden I got this realization that, hey, I'm in my friend's house, his mother is in the kitchen over there, and I am incredibly high. So basically I came off of the piano, and I literally I basically just crawled up to his apartment that he had upstairs, and I told him I'm like so high, and that whole thing was mind blowing. It opened up channels of my brain that were just like in amazement. It was incredible.
This one time sitting in the car, and we were listening to Animal Collective, and every time a lyric came out of the speaker, I saw the words in front of me, and then I saw the words change spaces with no change to the order of the letters, and it created a new sentence, and it did that like 6-7 times in a row.
Oh, wow.
It was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That was just one of the coolest music experiences, and also just like freestyle rapping while tripping is really fun because you can come out with some pretty ridiculous stuff.
Yeah.
That stuff is really cool.
The next like really vivid thing I see these people, they look kind of the same way. Like, I don't know how to describe them, but they're like, there's like an ethereal thing about them. Like, I'm seeing them clearly, but they don't look like I don't know. It sounds weird, but like almost they look kind of ghostly, I guess, which is interesting. But it's these people like lining up, and it's like I'm in like a train station, and I see them lining up, and they're like, there's like maybe 5 of them waiting, but there's like a very like relaxed nature to it. Like, it's not like any bus station I've ever been to. You know, there's like, I was like, okay, and I got the sense like, oh, these are people waiting to come back into life, you know, like they're about to board and come back and like rejoin the earth, you know. I just felt it was like the cyclical thing, right? Like explicitly it felt like reincarnation, or which is also interesting because like I've always like had hints of that, or like I've thought about that under the influence of psychedelics, but I've never so clearly been like, here's this image, you know. And then the next thing, the music, someone starts playing some kind of shaker that sounds like a snake, and it kind of like subtly comes in, but like suddenly all of my visuals turn into like snakes.
Whoa.
And yeah, it's like this like rattling thing, and it's like everything becomes snake-like. Even if it's not snakes, everything becomes moving like snakes.
Wow.
And yeah, and then from that, I suddenly am like hovering above the something, and it turns out to be this like giant serpent, but it looks like it's made of like light,
A giant what?
like a giant snake or like a serpent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's like made of like it's a serpent, but it's not made of like, again, it's like some weird ethereal material. But and then I'm like, I realized that snake is the train that people were waiting for. Like that was the transportation into the next life. Yeah. So it was like my little thing of like, oh, a train, that's kind of mundane. Like the other side of that was like, this is the vehicle. Like you don't know shit.
Yeah.
You know?
So while we were listening to A Love Supreme, I felt as if I was getting a sense of synesthesia, because as I was listening to the different key changes, it was creating different colors. And while I was listening to the melody, that color became a line, a sort of line segment that was dancing to the melody. And what I was envisioning when I would close my eyes, my closed-eye visuals were essentially a three-dimensional grid, X, Y, Z, and this line was traveling and creating a pattern, a visual pattern with each note and with each ascension and with each dip in the melody. It was a visual depiction of what I was listening to, and each key was a different color. And so when I closed my eyes, that's what I would see.
The most profound experience that I've had with music and psychedelics happened during an LSD experience while I was watching the Beatles' Yellow Submarine movie. Each song was taking my mind through a different journey of emotion and visuals, and the familiarity of the songs that I'd heard before offered me a sense of warmth and comfort. But things really got strange when only a Northern song came on, and I had never heard this song before. The first thing I remember is how dimensional of an experience it was. It sounded like the Beatles were in the room with me, singing directly in my ear. And my consciousness had expanded, picking up every little sound, and the sounds of this song were particularly bizarre. Also, the opening lyrics go, "If you're listening to this song, you may think the chords are going wrong, but they're not. He just wrote it like that." And there's something about these lyrics that really hit me, and it felt like a direct message, like it was part of this higher dimensional puzzle placed here at this exact moment for this exact purpose. And I know that's just the acid talking, but during the experience it was real. And what is real anyway? But I was approaching a state of egolessness, and later on in the song the lyrics go, "You're correct, there's nobody there." And with these lyrics I had the ultimate realization that the sense of self is an illusion. Or at least a sense of self as we typically experience it, or the ego. And with this realization came this sense of ecstatic freedom. The experience continued from there, and so did the movie, and there's really a pureness listening to music in a state of egolessness. I was one with every sound, and every lyric felt no more separate from myself than my own thoughts. This entire movie was such a good experience, and I've never been able to quite have another one like it. It really felt like each song was guiding me through this psychedelic journey and guiding me to all the realizations and all the bliss and the ecstasy that I experienced. So if you've never checked out the Beatles' Yellow Submarine movie, I would highly recommend it, but that was my experience.
So now you've heard some great stories of people getting their mind blown by playing the right music at the right time. This is the most fascinating area of psychedelics to me, and I promise to keep exploring it further in future videos. If you missed part 1 and 2 of this series, it's gonna all go on the same playlist. It's called The Visionary Colors of Sound. And I'm even thinking about making a part 4 about music used specifically in psychedelic therapy sessions. If you'd like to support the channel, check out the links in the description, and please feel free to share any of your own experiences with tripping and music. I'd love to hear from you, and you'll see me again soon. Peace.